ancient forests, burning seas, the number speed, the warning 350. Step it up, we can't slow down now, take my hand.
Now for the War and Peace Report. This is Climate Countdown. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting live from Copenhagen, where the summit is drawing to a close. But the emissions cuts countries have offered so far would still lead to global temperature rising by an average of 3 degrees Celsius, or 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit. That's according to a leaked United Nations document exposed Thursday on Democracy Now! The confidential memo runs counter to assurances from the world's biggest emitters that they're aiming to ensure no more than a 2 degrees Celsius temperature rise over the next century. A number of poor countries have been saying the world cannot afford a rise of more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, which would require limiting carbon emissions at 350 parts per million. Ahead of President Obama's arrival here in Copenhagen, a contingent of Democratic congressional leaders flew in Thursday to express support for the administration's position at the summit meeting. After they held a news conference just beside our studio here in the Bella Center, Democracy Now! Caught up with some of them in the hall. I questioned Representative Henry Waxman, the chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee, and Anjali Kamat questioned Congressmember Ed Markey of Massachusetts. They're the two co-sponsors of a climate change and energy bill that passed the House over the summer. But first, Sharif Abdel-Quddus questioned House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer.
The issue of climate debt, many industrializing countries say that industrialized countries like the United States owe a debt historically for being the biggest polluters. What's your response to that?
Oh, I don't accept that. We have developed, that's true, and in the course of developing, we have created the use of energy that then resulted in environmental consequences. And clearly, we're going to have to assist other countries who are now wanting to develop in doing so in a way that what we didn't know, we all now all know. And that is, you've got to develop in a way that is both economically successful, but also does not degrade the environment.
There's also been criticism at the conference of the 17% reduction, that is actually just 4% of the 1990 levels that the rest of the world is adopting. Your thoughts on that?
Well, those are deemed to be attainable. Those were ones that we could get agreement on in the House of Representatives. And if those, they're still under discussion. But those were ones we could get agreement on.
Just 1 second, Congressman Markey. You said 2-degree rise in temperature is right for this historic moment. What does that mean for countries that say 2 degrees is suicide? Africa, small islands.
That we will work to do better. The point that I made is that we will work to do better. And once we unleash this technological revolution, my opinion is that we will solve the problem and we will protect these countries. But we have
countries don't have very much time at all.
I know they don't, and that's why, unfortunately, losing the 8 years of the Bush administration put the United States behind in this effort. But what we're trying to do now is to provide a leadership role.
The UNFCCC itself says that current emission reduction levels, temperatures are going to rise by 3 degrees, not even 2 degrees. What is the U.S. going to do to cut emissions further?
Exactly. This is the beginning of the United States commitment, not the end. Okay, we will improve as the years go on. As I was making the analogy to the telecommunications revolution, where if I said 10 years ago, villages in the remotest part of Africa and Asia would have cell phone towers, would have broadband technology, you say, well, that's impossible. If everyone in the world knew what Google was 10 years ago and knew how to use it, you would say that's impossible. We're going to do the same thing with solar, with wind, with geothermal, with biomass, with all these technologies. And we're going to find a way that we sequester the greenhouse gases from coal because we're willing to make a commitment of upwards of $80 billion in this legislation.
Congressman Waxman, hi, it's Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Hi, remember you came into our studio.
Nice to see you again.
Quick question. We've been here covering this for 2 weeks, doing a daily hour. Especially the developing countries deeply concerned about this issue of 2 degrees Celsius, that could mean suicide for them. They want it lower. They want the numbers to 1.5.
Well, I think that we have to follow the science and get the numbers as tight as we could possibly can. And I think that when Chairman Markey responded to this issue, he pointed out that we'll follow the science, we'll achieve those reductions, but with the new technology that's going to be developed and further refinement of the understanding of the dangers of global warming, we'll probably be able to even do better than we set out to do.
There's also a frustration here among the developing nations, a majority of the world, around the issue of climate debt, that they're not the ones who did the polluting, but they're the ones who have to pay.
Well, I think they should be heartened by Secretary Clinton's comments today to be able to facilitate an enormous amount of money to help with adaptation and deforestation. It shows the U.S. commitment to these developing countries.